Right now, as you watch this, your mind is already somewhere else, planning tomorrow, replaying yesterday, scrolling through invisible lists. Even now, listening to these words, there's a part of you that's elsewhere. Why can't it stop? And more importantly, what is it running from? Notice that feeling, the discomfort when someone asks you to simply be still, the immediate urge to do something, to think about something, to occupy yourself with anything. That restlessness isn't productivity, it's fear, and you've been running from it your entire life. Jiddu Krishnamurti asked a question that stops most people cold. Why is your mind always busy? Not busy with important things, just busy, always occupied, always chattering. He observed thousands of people across decades, and he saw the same pattern everywhere. Minds that could never rest, trapped in endless mental motion, exhausting themselves in circles. He didn't offer meditation techniques. He didn't give you mantras to repeat or breathing exercises to follow. Instead, he asked you to look directly at the mechanism itself, to see the occupation for what it really is. Today, we simply invite ourselves to pause and witness what happens when we stop running. This contemplation offers a quiet space to understand how to return to the stillness that has always been here, the one you've been too busy to notice. Let's begin with the obvious. Your mind is talking right now, commenting, judging, planning, remembering. It never stops, from the moment you wake until the moment you fall asleep, and even then it continues in dreams. It's like a radio you can't turn off, playing in the background of everything you do. In the kitchen, it's planning dinner. In the office, replaying that conversation from yesterday. With your family, thinking about work. In bed, listing tomorrow's tasks. Always somewhere else, always occupied. Krishnamurti asks, why? Why this endless activity? Why can't the mind simply be? His answer cuts deep. Your mind isn't busy because you have so much to do. That's not why. It's busy because when it finally stops, you might have to face what's underneath, and that terrifies you. Think about it. What happens in those rare moments when you're not occupied? When you're waiting in line with no phone to reach for? When you're sitting alone with no task to complete? What rises up? For most of us, panic, a subtle anxiety, an uncomfortable emptiness, and immediately, automatically, the mind rushes in to fill it. It starts thinking about anything, replaying old memories, creating imaginary conversations, planning unnecessary things, anything to avoid that emptiness. The occupation is not strength, it's escape. Krishnamurti observed that we treat mental busyness like a badge of honor. I'm so busy, we say, as if it proves our importance. But he saw something else. He saw waste, pure waste of energy, like a person walking in circles, never arriving anywhere, just walking to avoid standing still. A mind that is always occupied is a useless mind. The mind that is always occupied with its thoughts can never look at the things around it. Such a mind is totally superficial and insignificant. It has no vitality. Let that land. A busy mind is not a powerful mind. It's an exhausted one, fragmented, dull, incapable of true perception. But here's what we don't want to face. If the mind stopped being occupied, it would be empty. And you're terrified of that emptiness. You've spent your whole life avoiding it because you think being empty means being nothing, worthless, alone. What if I told you that everything you've been taught about emptiness is backwards? Krishnamurti points to something radical. He says the emptiness you're avoiding is not the problem. It's the solution. That the occupied mind, constantly churning, is what keeps you trapped in suffering, in limitation, in fragmentation. And that the empty mind, the one you fear, is where true creativity emerges, where intelligence awakens, where freedom lives. Think of it this way: a room so full of furniture you can't move, boxes, clutter, chaos everywhere. You can't see the walls. You can't feel the space. Every step is an obstacle. That's your occupied mind. Now imagine slowly removing everything, one piece at a time, until the room is empty. And in that emptiness, you can finally breathe. You can move freely. You can see clearly. The space itself becomes alive. Feel that. That's what Krishnamurti is pointing to. Not emptiness as absence, but emptiness as potential, as aliveness, as the very ground from which everything arises. But we never let ourselves experience it. We fill every moment, scrolling, listening, planning, worrying. Even our meditation becomes another occupation, another task to check off, another thing the mind is doing. We've forgotten how to simply be. So he asks, what would happen if you stopped? Not by force, not by concentration, which is just another form of occupation, building walls to keep thoughts out, but by simply seeing the mechanism, by watching the urge to occupy yourself arise, and not following it. What if, just for a moment, you let your mind be empty? Try it now, not to achieve anything, not to become more spiritual, just to see what's actually here when the occupation stops. Close your eyes if you'd like, or keep them open, soft, unfocused. Notice the urge to think, the immediate impulse to occupy yourself with something, a memory, a plan, a judgment about whether you're doing this right. Just notice it. Don't fight it. Don't push it away. Just see it arising, like watching a bird fly across the sky, and notice what's underneath, beneath the urge, beneath the occupation. What's here when you're not filling the space with mental activity? Stay here. There's a silence, not the silence that comes after noise ends, but a silence that was always here, underneath the noise, a spaciousness, an aliveness, not dead, not blank, but vibrant, awake, present. This is what Krishnamurti calls attention, not concentration, which has a center, a me, trying to focus on something, but attention without a center, where there's no you observing, just observation itself, just presence, just this. Stay here a moment longer. Notice how, when the mind isn't spending energy on constant chatter, there's energy, a fullness, a vitality you didn't know was possible. And then, inevitably, the mind rushes back in. What am I supposed to be feeling? Am I doing this right? This is nice, but what's the point? And the occupation begins again. Notice that. Gently open your eyes. That's the pattern. The mind can't tolerate emptiness for more than a few seconds before it rushes in with something, anything, to fill the space. And this happens 1,000 times a day, every day, your whole life. But now you've seen it, and in seeing it, something shifts. Krishnamurti says that understanding is the awakening of freedom, not understanding as intellectual knowledge, but as direct perception, When you see the mechanism clearly, when you see how your mind occupies itself out of fear, the very seeing begins to dissolve the pattern. You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need new techniques. You just need to see what's actually happening and keep seeing it. Let's bring this into your daily life, because this isn't just philosophy, it's the question of how you actually live. Tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, sit for 30 seconds doing absolutely nothing. No meditation, no technique, just sitting. Notice what happens. Notice the discomfort, the urge to check something, to plan something, to occupy yourself with anything. Don't judge it, just see it. That urge is the addiction revealing itself. During your work breaks, instead of scrolling to relax, try this. Sit somewhere and give your complete attention to whatever is around you. The light on the wall, the sound of distant traffic, the feeling of breath. Not thinking about it, not naming it, just perceiving it directly, without words, without judgment. This is what Krishnamurti calls awareness without choice. Just watching, without trying to change anything. In conversations, notice when your mind is occupied with preparing your response while the other person is still speaking. See if you can listen with such complete attention that there's no you listening, just listening itself. You'll find that real understanding only happens in this empty space, not in the occupied mind planning what to say next. And here's what science is beginning to discover. When your mind is in constant self-referential thinking, the default mode network, they call it, it's not just unpleasant, it's literally draining your cognitive resources, fragmenting your attention, keeping you trapped in patterns of anxiety and dissatisfaction. The empty mind Krishnamurti speaks of correlates with what researchers call non-dual awareness, a state associated with profound well-being, clarity, and creative insight. But forget the science for a moment. Just look at your own life. How much energy have you wasted on mental occupation? How many moments have you missed because your mind was elsewhere? How much suffering have you created by constantly thinking about yourself, your problems, your future, your past? When there is complete attention, there is no I, there is no center, and therefore no periphery, no distance from the center to an end. When there is complete attention, there is only space, without borders. Feel that. This is the paradox Krishnamurti reveals. You think your constant mental activity makes you more capable, more productive, more alive. But the opposite is true. The occupied mind is weak, fragmented, trapped in its own patterns. The empty mind, spacious, attentive, free, is where true intelligence operates. Not the intelligence of accumulated knowledge, but the intelligence of direct perception, of seeing what is, without the filter of memory and thought, of responding to life freshly, rather than reacting from old patterns. This empty mind isn't something you achieve. It's not a state you attain through practice. It's what remains when the occupation stops, when you're no longer using thought as escape, when you're willing to face the silence you've been running from your whole life. And here's what Krishnamurti discovered. That silence, that emptiness, that space you've been terrified of, it's not dead. It's not nothing. It's the source. It's where creativity arises, where real relationship happens, where life actually lives. Think of every great insight you've ever had, every moment of clarity, Every experience of true connection, did it come from thinking harder, or did it come in a gap? A moment when the mind was quiet, empty, open? The new can only emerge when the mind is free, when it's not occupied with its own repetitive patterns. This is why Krishnamurti says that a mind in constant occupation can never be creative. It's just reshuffling the same old furniture. True creativity, true insight, true transformation, these require space. So, we arrive at the essential question, the one Krishnamurti leaves you with, not to answer intellectually, but to explore in your own life. Can this mind, with all its conditioned patterns and habits, become completely quiet? Can thought awaken only when necessary, to speak, to act, to solve practical problems, but remain most of the time completely still? Is it possible to live from that emptiness, to allow the silence to be primary and thought to be secondary, to stop wasting energy on endless mental occupation and discover the extraordinary vitality that arises when the mind is free? He doesn't give you the answer, because the answer isn't conceptual, it's experiential. You have to discover it yourself. The next time you feel that familiar urge to fill the silence, to check something, to plan something, to occupy yourself with anything, just for a moment, don't. Let the urge be there. Watch it, feel it, and see what happens when you don't follow it. Not once, but again and again, making this inquiry part of your life, not as a practice, not as another occupation, but as a way of living, of being, of allowing life to flower in the space that's been here all along. What are you running from? Perhaps you'll find that what you've been running from your whole life is the very freedom you've been seeking. The silence you've been avoiding is the only place you've ever truly wanted to be. Home, here, now, empty, whole, alive. Don't rush away. Not yet. Let the silence finish speaking. This is not content to consume. It's an invitation to wake up. Stay a moment longer in the space between thoughts, in the emptiness you've been running from. And if you'd like to continue this journey into the quiet places where truth lives, you know where to find us.